You may be wondering why anyone would leave a hospital against medical advice. Well, I'm a medical negligence lawyer, and I can tell you that it happens far more frequently than you might think. People spend hours in the emergency department without being seen and leave out of frustration. Other people are on the ward and think the treatment's worked and just leave because they think they don't need to be there. It's a pretty risky thing to do, and there can be some pretty serious consequences for you if things go badly afterwards. Usually that's going to be on you. A hospital doesn't have an obligation to keep you there against your will. But there are some circumstances in which the hospital can be responsible for what happens after you leave. The first is if they haven't explained the risks to you properly before you leave. They have a duty to properly inform you about your condition and the risks. And if they don't do that, they can be held liable if things subsequently go wrong. Another example is when people leave the emergency department having not been seen. In Australia, we have very clear standards and guidelines for the timeframes in which people need to be seen. And if they don't meet those, the fact that you chose to leave out of frustration may not excuse the hospital. There are other circumstances too when patients don't have the capacity to make that decision, and the hospital does have an obligation to keep them there. So leaving a hospital without being seen or against medical advice is a really risky thing to do, and people need to be aware of the consequences and the fact that they will be responsible for them. But there are some circumstances where the hospital can be found liable for failing to inform people about the risks or failing to see them in a timely way.